Well, at least one of our listeners somehow believes that the conversation we just had is pushing the narrative of the idea of winning a ring with Steph Curry on the roster. Which,
what do you mean? Pushing the narrative?
Pushing the narrative that Steph could win another ring with the Warriors. It's a, what area code do we got here? 757. I see you. You just sent about 12 texts. So was emotionally scarred by the conversation. And I always want to check after we've had a conversation and it brings about a reaction to make sure that it sounded like I thought it sounded like. I think that that's what we just said. I think that what I'm trying to get across is that the Steph Currys of the world, the Draymond Greens of the world, even the Jimmy Butlers of the world. Now, we don't know him as well, and he's been here for so much shorter of a period of time. But I don't think all three of them have the machismo, anger, demand, finances, must win, must surround me thing at their age that we think they do. That's what I think. I don't think that any of them are sitting there going, you better give me more years because you gave Al. You better give me teammates because I'm awesome and I deserve rings. I think that they're three men who are completely aware that their 35th birthday is a thing of the past. Two of them, at least one of them, major injury last year. One of them, semi-major injury last year. Understand the CBA and the aprons and the availability, the desires of other stars around the league. Like, they get this stuff. They get it. And so the Warriors are going to do their damn best. And I actually think that's all that those three are going to ask for. Do your best. Not bring me a championship or get out of my face, which I think we attach that to them sometimes.
I can separate what's happening in this moment from what's happened the last 4 years too. And I also think with Jimmy Butler specifically, you're right, we don't know him nearly as much, and as a result, he's nowhere near as respected or important, I think, in the franchise's minds or maybe in all of us fans' minds as Steph specifically, but also Draymond. I know Draymond has a complicated relationship with a lot of people in the fan base, but for Steph, the conversation is, all right, you need to do enough to support him, to want to encourage him to finish his career here, and I think he was always going to do that, but you needed to at least put in, as you mentioned, your best effort to put as good of a team as possible around him. With Jimmy, for me, it's never really been, at least in my opinion, of how his mind works and how he feels, it's never been about, I need to go to a place where I think I can win, my organization needs to support me with players. It's always been my organization needs to support me with a max contract. And I'm uncomfortable going into seasons on the final year of deals. That's kind of how it's been with Jimmy.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes, and I think that's fair.
And you get to a point probably where you're old enough where maybe that changes, but I don't know if we have any evidence that suggests that Jimmy's is at that point.
Is there evidence? No, but that's only because, I don't think anybody's even had an opportunity to ask the question, nor has he even had the opportunity to speak on this. For me, this would be a next level maneuver by Jimmy Butler to come out this year, start looking around at the framework of the Warriors and the league, and think to yourself, okay, it's obvious that the Warriors are holding very dear any money beyond this next season. It is now Al, Moses, and Guy, pennies.
With a bunch just coming to Steph before the summer's up.
That's Steph.
Yes.
And even Jimmy knows that he different. So if I were to look at all of that, know that you've
Plus
only...
Yaxel.
Mm-hmm. But you've only been on the team for a year and a half. They are holding dear money beyond next season. You are 36 and your knee doesn't work. I don't know any other way to say this. I don't want to attach this to him because I don't believe it to be true. But if Jimmy Butler right now is even in the headspace of the Warriors owe me something beyond this year, he is crazier than any of you think. That would be nuts.
Well, no one said he was sane in the first place. And most people would say what happened in Miami is not sane at all.
You know, I have this policy, and maybe it gets me in trouble sometimes, but I firmly believe you make your judgments about a person based on your direct experience with them. I don't really get into the whole like, oh, you know what I mean? Boy, watch out. Watch out for that teacher. Boy, that teacher's going to give you a lot of, well, maybe this is my subject and I'm awesome at it and I'm going to have a completely different experience.
Well, you're a teacher's pet, I can tell.
There's that. No, I mean, it happened with my son. My son, and this is middle school, whatever, but he happens to be crazy, crazy good at math. And in 6th grade, he got the teacher at his school that everyone's like, oh, boy. Oh, nobody likes that teacher. And I'd run into other parents, and they're like, the homework. Can you believe the homework in that class? And at one point, I looked at all of them, and I go, am I missing something? I don't even see homework. And they're like, you don't? Oh, he must not be taking it. He got an A to the A to the A, because that kid it comes so easy to him. They give him 10 minutes in class. He's like, beep, boop, bop, here you go. And then he goes home. And that's his experience with this awful, hard teacher.
Well, it sounds like your kid is Steph Curry in this analogy, and some of the others are maybe Jimmy Butler.
Maybe, but the point I'm trying to make is I want to assess Jimmy Butler just as a Warrior. Because quite frankly, who the hell is the same person at 36 that they were at 26? I don't care what.
Well, this was a year and a half ago with Jimmy.
That's Miami, but we hang Minnesota around him, and we hang Philadelphia around him. And the Miami thing, that was one experience where, by the way, I saw a bunch of stuff from Pat Riley. That, like, where I went, oh, boy, he's kind of a little aggressive in all of this.
It seemed like it started with Jimmy Butler not being willing to play. Because he was looking for more money beyond that year that they had him signed for.
I don't ever know where it started. I mean, there was obviously, it always starts behind the scenes.
I mean, come on, that was a really ugly situation.
It was, but I don't think it was all on Jimmy at all.
Maybe not.
I don't think it was all on Jimmy at all. You know what I mean? And I also think sometimes things get a bad rap that are actually just business. If I'm a professional athlete and my life is my body, and I still feel like I'm a very good player. When Jimmy arrived, was he still a very good player?
And arrived with the Warriors?
Yes.
Yeah, of course he was.
And when a team looks at you and goes, yeah, just play it out. Play it out. No. Like, most stars would do that. You don't watch teams do that to their best player. Nobody does that. And if they do, what happens? They usually are about to part ways. So I'm not saying it's all on Miami, but I don't think it was all on Jimmy.
Well,
and even that's their experience. He has been a good Warrior. He has not caused any problems, has he?
Not that we know.
Okay.
Yeah, probably not. No. I mean,
tried like hell to mentor Jonathan.
Yeah, outwardly. I mean, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I don't know. But like, okay, if we're reacting to what the Al Horford 2-year deal is, and we agree it probably says more about Steph than it does about Draymond, what does it say about Jimmy? Does it mean Jimmy's going to be here for this year and next too, along with Steph and along with Al, and maybe along with Porzingis if he signs a 2-year deal this offseason?
I can't definitively answer that, obviously, but I don't take it that way in this moment. It might.
I mean, the Warriors were announcing a new jersey sponsor today. Yep. Rakuten is out as the jersey sponsor. It's I forget what the new sponsor is. I can find it for you in a sec.
Somebody said it was
it's some AI cloud thing.
Largest partnership in the history of sports?
Really? I did not read that.
Corporate. I want to look that up.
But Joe Lacob and a few other representatives of the Warriors were out kind of celebrating the announcement of this agreement, this merger, or this deal. And one of the Warriors speaking was Jimmy Butler. He was up on the panel along with Joe Lacob. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if that means that they want this to last beyond just this 1 year.
They might, but I would be I would be surprised, and we can change the conversation then.
Then you start talking about, well, your book's being open for next year. Not quite as open with Steph and with Jimmy and with potentially Porzingis, and you're getting the Pajemski extension.
But doesn't that wait until Jimmy actually comes back and is healthy and plays? Like, I could see it.
Maybe. My point is, I think the history of Jimmy's career suggests that he's not comfortable playing on the final year of a contract.
And that's fine, but my rebuttal to that would be the history of Jimmy's career is we've never done this at age 36 with a torn ACL.
It's fair.
And that's different. And if he doesn't see that and he's not aware of that, then that's on Jimmy. And then in this conversation, I'd be wrong. And that's on the table. But all I can go with is what I've seen. I've never seen Draymond Green get unfair with the Warriors over a contract. You can hate the contract they gave him, but this whole idea that, Al got $7 million for a year beyond this year, well, this trickle down is now all the other Warrior veterans are going to be mad. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that. I don't think they look at Al Horford's $7 million and everybody immediately calls their agent and says, tell the Warriors to sign me for 27, 28 right now at my full value. I don't even know if any of those three players know what the hell their value is right now. Jimmy can't play. Draymond is, for the moment, we would all agree, overpaid. He's not a $27 million player anymore. Mm-hmm. And Steph Curry is Steph Curry, which is its own category, but is also coming off of a significant injury and referred to everything going forward as a new normal. Put a price tag on all three of those. I have no idea how. I don't know how they would do it. What would the agent even say to Mike Dunleavy if he called? Hey, this is Jimmy's agent. We want $55 million for the following year? How could you even say that with a straight face right now?
Because you're one of the best professional basketball players in the world. You have that belief of yourself. And as we talked about earlier, maybe you're not fully sane. And you kind of have to not be fully sane.
And that's fair. So then my response is, if I'm the Warriors, is we thank you for your time.
Which is what the Miami Heat did. And then Jimmy refused to play. Is the only point I'm trying to make.
And if Jimmy refuses to play this year, who cares? He's barely going to play anyway. So what leverage? Like, Jimmy, there was leverage there. There's no leverage for anybody right now. None. Steph, because he's Steph, and nobody's even questioning that. But Draymond and Jimmy would call based on Al Horford and his $7 million and express what leverage?
Jimmy is coming back and playing at some point this year. Yeah. And I'm just telling you, I think it's foolish to assume that if he's not getting anything on top of this season, I don't think you can just assume it's going to be all hunky-dory and smooth sailing.
I don't assume that, but I feel like that's so long from now. That's so many hurdles from now. So, like...
Maybe, but there was one...
You know what I mean?
There was one sentence that stood out to me in the piece that Anthony Slater wrote when he reported the Al Horford extension.
Okay.
2-year deal for Al Horford. He declined his $6 million player option, intends to sign a 2-year, $14 million contract to return to the Warriors. Horford was quoted when talking about what last season was, his first year with the Warriors. Slater writes, quote, "The Warriors season was derailed in January when Jimmy Butler tore his ACL in the middle of a 12-4 stretch." The next line is a quote from Al Horford. Quote, "I want to see it through." That to me reads, 2-year deal, he wants to see it through. Mm-hmm. This is a 2-year thing that we're signing up for.
No, there's no doubt.
With Steph and with Jimmy.
With Steph.
Is what it sounds like to me.
With Steph and we'll see. Like, I
want to see it through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, if you're...
I want to see what last year was through when Jimmy is healthy.
I think that everything is like, Jimmy Butler came in and signed a lease, and like most leases, they go 12 months, and then after that, they're month to month. So we'll see. I'm not sitting here today telling you that Jimmy Butler won't play for this team beyond this coming year. What I'm telling you is I would be very surprised if anybody signed up for that at very, very large dollars before I saw him come back and contribute. I could be wrong.
Well, the Warriors shouldn't do it, and they wouldn't do it But that doesn't mean that Jimmy can't cause a stink about it, is the only point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, but I see, and so, okay, I'll buy that. And my response to that would be, I don't think that will go well for Jimmy. If we got to February and he's like, I'm not playing till you sign me for next year, I think the Warriors and more so their fan base would be like, see ya, dude. That's trade deadline stuff. That's hey league, we got $55 million expiring dollars.
Yeah. We talked about Draymond's contract being valuable, right. so would Jimmy's.
Who wants to get rid of some money? Because we got Jimmy here, and the money will come off the books, and you can do whatever you want after that.
But
like that's
the Warriors also don't want to take a bunch of money back that isn't expiring either.
Right.
It would be hard to trade. It would be hard to trade that contract.
But you
considering what you wouldn't want back.
But you could take back something that only had one more year on it. Because in theory, the idea is to still try to be very good while Steph is playing. You want to be good. So that's why, to me, it all circulates around the only thing Warrior fans are comfortable with right now, and that is Steph in a uniform as long as he wants to be.
I guess the further that we talk about this and the further that we break down what the 2-year deal for Al Horford means, I'm with you that I don't think it means a whole lot for Draymond, and I think that's where a lot of the Warrior fan angst was coming from, at least from what I saw this morning, and Guru's included in that. Steiny admitted to his mind going to Draymond as well.
Sure.
I don't think it has anything to do with Draymond, but I do think it opened my mind that maybe their thought was, it's this year and it's next. We knew that was going to be the case with Steph. Now we know it's the case with Al Horford. I would imagine there's been reporting that there's momentum for a Porzingis extension. I would imagine that's not a 1-year deal. I would imagine that's going to be a 2-year deal.
I don't know.
Is my guess.
I don't know.
We'll find out eventually.
That would depend, I think, on the number, and I don't think the number is going to be backbreaking at all.
No, it's not going to be astronomically high.
Yeah.
But it feels like there is some puzzle pieces pointing toward this last season for the Warriors kind of a little bit extending for not just 1 more year, but 2 more years, which I think is a little bit of a surprise considering what it was the report that Anthony Slater had around, was it the trade deadline this past year, where they said the Warriors are going for 1 more run with Steph, and it was the logic was just 1 more season of it. And it feels like, I don't know, maybe there's thoughts that it's going to be 2 more years of it, which is a little concerning considering how bad this went last year with all the injuries, and you're only going to be older.
Totally fair, but how would you want it to look? I mean, you don't want Steph to be gone.
No.
Right, okay, so Steph's here.
But I don't think I'm comfortable with Jimmy Butler beyond this coming season.
And they may not be either.
And maybe not even Porzingis beyond this season.
I think that's fair. But everything, as all things do, come down to money. So that's why I'm sort of in this moment feeling like we're talking about apples and oranges. Al Horford's $7 million request is not equal to Jimmy Butler's potential $50 or $55 million request. If Jimmy's going to demand another year or not play, that year is for how much? How much? Because if you want to continue to be paid like Jimmy Butler, quite frankly, that's ludicrous. It's ludicrous when you haven't.
There'd be no team in the NBA that would do that.
Yeah, you've got it right. So there's no leverage. So it's not like Miami where it's like we can put him out there and somebody will acquire him and extend him. Nobody would do that. You're going to have to show.
He's 2 years older and coming off of an ACL.
Coming off an ACL.
Yes.
So you're going to have to show that you can play. And my bet would be that he knows that. My bet would be that he knows that. And the Warriors can easily, if he doesn't know that and heads start to butt, they can back the hell out of this whole thing easy. Flip it in reverse, hit the gas, beep, 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 back that thing up, gone. Now, they may want Jimmy Butler on the team, but again, all of these other contracts that we're talking about, what's the number? What's the number? Maybe Jimmy comes back and looks like Jimmy. And then 1 more year after this one doesn't bother people. That's on the table too.
Maybe.
Look, even Steph, we're all looking for, we know a 1-year extension's coming, but for how much?
Well, if you ask Steiny, he's going to take a discount.
Maybe. Maybe he won't. Maybe it doesn't even matter. They've got so much room on the books for that year. And
it's going to start to close up. when you do get the Steph extension, you eventually get a Podziemski extension, which is going to happen. I know a lot of fans probably aren't going to be terribly excited for that. Might not happen necessarily this summer, but it's going to happen. And that money will be on the books for the following season, and of course, well beyond that.
I think that too, though, needs to be a reasonable number.
Oh yeah, he's not going to ask for the max.
I don't know what the hell he's going to ask for.
He's not going to get the max. He could ask for the max, I guess.
Fan base here thinks that he is the most maniacal, crazy person on earth. So maybe he will.